Coming up next, the Bookening reads Rebecca. Hey everybody, welcome to the Bookening. We're reading Rebecca, or we've read Rebecca. We're going to talk about Rebecca. All thanks to the Patreon book suggestion plan. But I'll tell you what my plan is for today. My plan is to introduce the people that I podcast with. Now me, I'm Nathan, your humble and obedient host. And right there, right to my right, you've got Brandon Chastain.
Hey.
Looking more dignified and more salt and peppery in his hair every day.
Thank you, Nathan.
As he ages into a decrepit, sad, and utterly irrelevant old man.
Wow.
With great salt and pepper hair.
Yeah. You're looking older too.
Well,
actually, you're looking more like a disheveled, wild-haired genius.
What can I say?
Don't you think he's got that?
To do.
Don't you think he's got that look going on for him?
Yeah.
He who shall not be named.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Well, it has to do with the fact that I haven't made it to the barber for a long time, and that my genius levels have been amping up to maximum capacity. And the fact mostly has to do with the fact that I haven't taken a shower today. My wife really likes my hair to be unkempt and all over the place. Like she digs that look. I don't know I'm not sure the rest of the world agrees with her, but she's always like, nah, don't go to the barber. Let it grow. Let it do its thing.
She wants you to kind of have that wild look, huh?
Yeah, she kind of likes it. She kind of likes it. I'd be telling a lie if I said otherwise.
Wild and untamed Nathan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she doesn't want, what's the opposite of wild? She doesn't want calm and tamed Nathan. That's no fun.
She wants wild. She wants to imagine she has the hero of some gothic romance in her life.
Yeah. Well, we do have a lesbian housekeeper that's always skulking around and telling her what she can and can't do.
You guys did just buy a yacht.
We did just buy a yacht, yeah. Man, have we read a more LGBT coded book than this one?
My Antonia.
Well, okay. Asked and answered. Well, in any case, that Mrs. Danvers, she's something else, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
She deserves to be in the Monster Squad, probably.
So do I.
Yeah, for something you just sent, but we can't read it out loud, so.
Yeah, folks. That's pretty funny. And viciously cruel. And
ow.
You're the one that said the cruel thing.
I guess you're right.
It's not cruel to... there's no way that I can read that out loud, folks, and I don't do this often, but in this particular case, I will tantalize you with the piece of our friendship that you will never get to share in.
Ha 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 ha.
Ha ha.
Losers.
Yeah. You're listen.
$2,000 a month and you can be a part of our friend texting thread.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, for $2,000 a month. Yeah, sure.
You're in our private Slack channel, baby.
Yeah. You can hear the slightly cruel and not appropriate for the podcast texts that we send to each other.
Yeah. Just don't cry if they're about you.
Yeah, no. Check out this loser sending us $2,000 a month for this. Listen, we still haven't introduced the cruel reprobate himself. Why don't you do that, Brandon? And just for the tally book, Brandon's not irrelevant. He's not decrepit. He does have nice salt and pepper in his hair.
Saltier and peppier Well, saltier than
and peppier.
Yeah. Brandon is nothing if not known for his pep.
Yeah, that's how everybody defines me.
Mr.
Salty and peppy.
Salty and peppy.
That was to go on a dating game. He's known as being salty and peppy.
Yeah. Well, who would be salty on this podcast and who would be peppy, and what would the third category be?
I think
for the
you
other
would be
person?
peppy.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's
you
kind
bring
of my
the pep.
job.
I think I bring the
pep.
salt.
So I don't know
Okay.
what I bring. What needs to go with salt and pep?
Food?
Food. I'm
Substance.
Substance? Yeah.
Something worth adding spice to.
Right, yeah. That's actually a pretty good metaphor.
That's a pretty good metaphor.
All right. Well, Mr. Salt, you still haven't. No. I'm sorry. Mr. Food, Mr. Substance. Yeah, you're Mr. Substance. There we go. Mr. Sub.
Mr. Sub.
So I'm Mr. Salt. No, I'm sorry. Jake's Mr. Salt. I'm Mr. Pep. You're Mr. Sub. But you still need to introduce
You're
Mr.
like
Salt.
Steve in Blue's Clues.
Yeah. Yeah. I left for 20 years and now I'm making a publicity tour again for some reason and everyone cares and it's beyond the world.
Is he doing that really?
He did a little like Mr. Rogers PSA thing on Nickelodeon.
Okay.
Nickelodeon's like Twitter or something like that, and everybody cried.
Oh.
And I watched it to see why everybody cried. It was sweet.
Did you cry?
I mean, I felt that sort of like this guy was Mr. Rogers' sort of equivalent for a different generation, and
Yeah, he was. I mean, we didn't grow up with Blue's Clues, right?
my little brothers did, and so right. I sort of felt like, well, I can definitely see a couple of my younger brothers watching this and crying.
Yeah, it was sweet.
It was 1996. So we were only 11.
That was the launch of the show, or when
the launch
Steve quit?
That was the launch of the show.
Launched when we were like 11 or 12.
Yeah, yep.
So a little bit old for it.
Sense. Yeah. I never watched Blue's Clues myself, but it was certainly on around the house for my younger brothers, as it sounds like was true of all of us. But we still haven't introduced Mr. Salt himself.
He's the Salt Man, the Salt Meister.
That's me, the Saltmeister.
The Salt Meister.
Saltmeister.
The saltiest old. Can't say any of the words that came to mind. I don't know what's going on. The saltiest
For
pastor.
$2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the pastor who is a master of reading. Not just the master of reading.
That's true.
Beastmaster Funkytown himself.
Yep.
Jacob Kyle Menzel. The original JK.
That's right.
Yep. Before Just Kidding.
Before Just Kidding was even a thing.
And before Rolling.
Was ever a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before Joanne. What is her middle name? Surely we know this between the three of us.
Probably Catherine.
Probably Catherine.
Probably. I still laugh at the story of those students singing Rolling, Rolling, Rolling and making her sad.
Yes. That's an awesome story. Now she's paid to have every one of those students killed.
Probably. They probably at least all like Death Eaters.
Yeah.
She probably wrote them into her book.
Oh, don't you remember? Isn't there no middle name? And K is just made up. Isn't that the story?
I think that might be true.
Certainly somebody that we've read has that true of them.
Yes.
Well,
confirmed. She has no middle name. She chose K for Kathleen as the second initial of her pen name from her paternal grandmother.
Yeah.
She calls herself Joe. So
she's just Joanne Rowling. She's one of those people that have no middle name.
Mm-hmm.
Can't trust those people.
Nope. Speaking of people you can't trust, can you trust Daphne du Maurier? How do you say this lady's name?
Daphne du Maurier, I think.
Daphne, can you trust her to write a good novel? That's what we're going to decide over the course of at least the next two episodes.
Try to say her name again.
Daphne du Maurier? Yay?
Okay. Have you never seen the name Daphne before?
I said Daphne.
No, you didn't.
You didn't.
You said
Daffy. Daffy.
Or Daffy. Yeah, the one thing you never said was Daphne. You said all sorts. Yeah.
Daphne.
Did you ever watch Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, sure. Velma and Daffy.
Daffy Duck, yeah. You got it.
Daphne du Maurier.
Yeah.
Ooh, she was once a young lady with intense bangs.
Huh.
That's what you find out if you pull up her Wikipedia page.
Huh.
She is striking. That is.
I don't know that there's a single
photo.
picture of her that isn't intense.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's her brand.
Okay.
Daphne du Maurier. I'm looking up other pictures of her here. Oh yeah, all her pictures are like she's scowling with genius.
Yeah.
In some kind of
gonna have a cigarette hanging out of her mouth to her scowl, gonna be glaring at you over her shoulder. She's gonna be holding a dog, but not smiling.
Right. She'll be furrowing her brow and looking pensively off to the side of the photograph. This lady has some great branding with her photographs. You can tell she knew what she was all about in terms of presenting the world to Daphne du Maurier. Anyway, speaking of Daphne du Maurier, Brendan's going to provide some much needed context on this young lady and her fabulous work, Rebecca.
She definitely was young. When she wrote this book, she was 31.
There you go.
Is that all we need to know?
I think that's everything we need to know. That actually does make a lot of sense in this book.
Yeah.
This book, I should say, if I didn't say it already, this was recommended by one of our patrons who joined at the $100 level. And this lovely patron asked us to read this book. And so this was chosen for us by a fan. And excited we were to read this book. And I suppose I do have a little history with old Daphne du Maurier that I'll talk about when we get to Fat Alplane and all that. But yes,
You have some history to talk about?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I knew her work beforehand.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So this is a donor choice or whatever we want to call it, a patron choice.
Yeah. Well, she came from a family that was that was already kind of involved with the arts. And so her dad was Sir Gerald du Maurier, and he was an actor and also became a manager later in his life. But apparently he acted in some of the plays of Ian Barry, a guy we haven't read yet. But are we reading him next year? We don't want to say. Well, no, he's come up as someone we should read.
I think he comes up every year, and we should. We should.
And her mom was also an actress. Her name was Muriel. And apparently later in life, she would want to kind of fight against what she saw as the boring domesticity of her mother and kind of have a socialite's life. And even though she would get married and have some children later on, she would also have dalliances, including some with other women. So, which, surprise, surprise, that comes out in Rebecca fairly clearly. She also was deeply interested in Cornwall, which her family had. She grew up in Cornwall, or her family had some relations to the city, and especially she was obsessed with the sea and obsessed apparently with this old house that was near the sea there and the mystery surrounding that. And most of her stories later on would be centered around the same idea. And so Rebecca is the one that kind of took this and made it into a metaphor that everybody at that time really loved in this story. She took the Gothic romance and mixed them together in Rebecca, and it was fairly early in her career. It was 1938. The only thing she had written before that, I think, was Jamaica Inn.
Okay, yeah.
Which, well, the thing that was the most successful, Jamaica Inn and Rebecca, they were huge successes and made her wealthy. She actually had some other things. I think The Loving Spirit, which she published in 1931, which means that she published that when she was 24. So she was a writer from a young age. I think she went to finishing school. I don't know if it matters, but she went to finishing school. I can tell you where she went to finishing school. Why not?
Let's hear it. The people have been on the edge of their seats waiting for this information.
Campesina, outside Paris in 1923. And if you guys will remember who else went to finishing school in Paris, or at least in France, was seems like
something about those Parisian finishing schools.
It seems like having a little bit more money in your family and having an artistic bent in your family, and then being sent off to finishing school where you meet mysterious people and already have an imagination that's running wild with you. It almost seems like maybe Jane Austen was onto something with Mansfield Park. Or no, I mean Northanger Abbey. Sorry, Northanger Abbey.
Right.
0 stars.
Yeah, Jane Austen was totally not onto anything with Mansfield Park.
It was, man, Brandon, you idiot. Anyways.
Man, Brandon, you idiot.
Yeah.
That should be our t-shirt.
Man, Brandon, you idiot.
Yeah.
Man, Brandon.
I like it.
1 star.
And apparently at finishing school, she started writing stories and developing her obsession with this village where she had grown up, Cornwall. I don't know if it's a village. I actually have never looked up a picture of you guys.
You've never looked up a picture of Jake or Nathan?
Wow.
Part.
But why would he need to?
Of you guys. I don't know.
I guess he knows what he looks like. Actually, that would be kind of weird if you looked up pictures.
I look up pictures of you guys every day.
What did those guys look like?
I devote at least an hour of my day to doing extensive Google searches of both of you.
Just an hour?
Yeah.
I'm a little offended.
I've just scratched the surface. Images of Cornwall. Yeah, it's a village by the sea, and it's got boats and pretty bluish green water. It looks pretty.
There you go.
Sounds
I had
pretty.
a teacher named Mrs. Cornwall. I suppose she was pretty by the standards of her husband, and
I suppose she was pretty by the standards of her husband. That belongs in a Jane Austen novel right there.
That is pretty funny.
I remember all the boys were roughhousing in the boys' bathroom, and she walked into the boys' bathroom, and we were like, you can't come in here, Mrs. Cornwall. And she was like, I'm a married woman. You don't have anything I haven't seen.
Yikes.
And
I don't remember.
That's what she said?
Yeah. And none of us felt satisfied by that logic.
I wonder why.
So, so she grew up on the sea. I don't even know how to transition back from that.
Cornwall, Mrs. Cornwall was, I don't know how to transition back from that either, but
Thanks,
I just thought
Nathan.
I'd waste more time.
Well, here, you guys want me to read some fun facts at this one bio? She's one of those people that when you're trying to find
Brandon, would you read us some fun facts about
Daphne du Maurier? She's one of those when you are trying to read about her. I don't know, man.
Fun facts come up?
Fun facts come up. And so I thought these, we'll see whether or not they were
fun.
fun.
Fun fact about Daphne.
Well, one fun fact is that after her fame and her...
Well, we're going to upvote these, and we'll see which one is
Alfred Hitchcock turned 2 of her stories into movies.
3, I thought.
Well, maybe 3 then. Wow. I knew Rebecca and
Fun
the
maybe
birds.
Facts with
1
Brandon.
star.
Fun maybe facts. So what's the other one, Nathan?
Well, I could be wrong about this. Let me double check.
No,
I thought that...
You know way too much about this.
Well, Rebecca and the Birds are both definitely... yeah, and Jamaica Inn.
Oh, did he do Jamaica Inn?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Rebecca and the Birds, though, that sounds like a...
That's the name of my band.
Sequel. Yeah. Rebecca and the Birds.
Big round of applause for the Birds. No, yeah, Jamaica Inn was a really early Hitchcock that's not as famous, but Rebecca is one of the first really famous ones.
Well, Jamaica Inn and Rebecca,
the Birds.
Like I said, were the 2 that made her famous, so at least made her rich. So du Maurier was made a Dame of the British Empire in 1969, but she told no one about the honor. She left the ceremony.
On brand for her.
She left the ceremony quietly so that members of the press were not alerted.
Wow.
Do you upvote that?
I mean, as a insight into her brand, yeah, but no.
Okay.
It's not a very fun fact.
It's kind of feels more like an inevitable fact. So far, the best fact is the one that you got wrong about Alfred Hitchcock.
Both Rebecca and du Maurier's short story, The Birds, were adapted into popular films by Alfred Hitchcock. They don't even mention Jamaica Inn, Nathan.
Well, this funfacts.gov or whatever website you're on.
It's not very fun.
It's not very
It's probably
fun.
the fact that nobody cares about Jamaica Inn.
All right, keep going. Give us something else. You've given us 2, and they're
du Maurier's grandfather created the character Svengali in the book Trilby. He was also an author and cartoonist. That was a blast. I don't even know.
That's my top fact so far.
I am now going to look up who Svengali was.
Svengali, I actually do know that. He's a mesmerist or something like that. His name kind of became a term for someone who exerts kind of control over other people.
Hypnotic,
kind of
powers.
Hypnotic, yeah. Like you can say somebody has a real Svengali complex, or like if you're reading a New Yorker article or something, you'll see that.
I've seen that around. It's sort of like the kind of thing that eventually Marvel makes into some villain or something like that. The evil Svengali.
Yeah. It's kind of along the lines of Fu Manchu or one of those kinds of guys. But yeah, Svengali, you could definitely find his name in like a G.K. Chesterton essay or something like that. Like he was a real touchstone for people back then because Trilby was written in the 18th century. So fun fact, I upvote with that
19th
one.
Century. I'm giving it 19th century.
I do that every time. 1 star, 0 stars. I meant the 19th century.
You can't give 0 stars.
Yeah.
But if you could.
That's true. Yeah, people would be mean.
Du Maurier is said to have been very aloof toward her 2 daughters and much more loving toward her son. She once wrote about how much she identified with men and was in touch with her male side.
Yeah, shocker.
I don't know why that's a fun fact.
Whee!
Yay!
Da-da-dun-dun-dun.
Da-da-da-da-da. Bum bum. This is the last one.
Okay, this better be a fun fact.
This one's a blast.
Okay.
Du Maurier's ashes.
Number
Another
one.
great name for a band.
That's all. Hey,
Du Maurier's
are
ashes.
scattered near her beloved home in Cornwall. Oh.
Oh no, that's not fun at all. Well, I feel like we've learned more about Trilby than we have about. So, yeah, some fun facts there.
So that's, anyways, this book she wrote, like I said, when she was 31, and after that she became fairly successful. Her movies were adapted into films. Apparently she wrote a number of plays as well. Apparently, if we want to talk a bit just about her character and her marriage after that, she didn't have the best relationship with her husband. Apparently was known as being fairly chilly, and as we just read, she did not have a great relationship with her daughters. She was known as being fairly private and reclusive, but she did appear as a castaway in the BBC radio program Desert Island Discs, and apparently her chosen book, I don't understand what this is. So apparently they ask you what you would take with you on it. So it's like that question, the Desert Island game.
Sure, yeah.
And she chose the collected works of Jane Austen. And her luxury.
She's not entirely stupid.
Yeah, and her luxury was whiskey and ginger ale.
Hey, I'll hang out on an island with Daphne du Maurier.
Yeah, good choices.
So anyways, other things so here's some correspondence with somebody on her sexuality. She says that let me see if I can find the actual source here. This would be, I had it pulled up, but oh well. Anyways, so the notes here say that she claimed to have 2 distinct, basically she had dual personalities. One of them was she was a loving mother, and she showed that side to everyone. But then also she was her lover side was male, and that was her male side. And to that one, she hid almost from everyone, but it was where all her artistic energy came from. And she had one biographer who said that this is where propelled her writing, but also, would lead her into some dalliances, like I said earlier, with some women outside of her marriage.
So do we know that she consummated those relationships? Because I bet everybody in modern academia really wants her to have and is biased that direction. And I don't doubt it, but I'm just curious how much actual evidence there is.
I think mostly it is suggestion. So let's see. Yeah, so she has one biographer who was the widower of Richard Aldrich, went into detail of their relationship, but made no mention of a same-sex relationship. And so let's see what we can find. I just know that it was suggested by a lot of things, but let's see.
Yeah,
Daphne
including the book that we read.
Du Maurier, lesbian. Oh, here, one of the first things that come up is lesbian.com.
A website I never thought we'd reference on the Bookening.
Yeah. This is from The Independent. Daphne du Maurier was born in 1907, the middle of 3 daughters. I've got to register. Apparently her father was lavishly unfaithful, and Daphne was puzzled by her mother's faithfulness. They were an affluent, unstuffy, slightly bohemian family, keen on holidays and socializing, with their own Mitfordian private language, wane for embarrassing, honky for vulgar, wax for making love, and so on. Though when there were no visitors to perform for Gerald, he would sink into depression. Sounds like a great family that she grew up with.
So
Du Maurier's, here we go. Du Maurier's sexuality is complicated to understand. Let's find where that happens. Go ahead. What do you have?
So LGBT Wikia has this, and I quote, "After her death, numerous references were made to her alleged lesbianism, an affair with Gertrude Lawrence, as well as her infatuation with the wife of American publisher Ellen Doubleday, were cited. She stated in her memoirs that her father had wanted a son, and being a tomboy, she had naturally wished to have been born a boy. However, this is perhaps too simplistic an explanation. Blah, 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 blah. Her father was vociferously homophobic. Weird."
Yeah, so here's also something. This is from The Guardian. Du Maurier's sexuality is complicated to understand. The word transgender was not yet in common currency. She didn't think her desire for women made her a lesbian and fought against her Venetian tendencies. Heterosexual sex was known in the family even more exotically as going to Cairo. Sounds like she had a wonderful family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, she felt she was a boy, very much in love and stuck in the wrong body. So, yeah, would have fit in perfectly today. At the same time, perhaps pragmatically, perhaps not, she was a woman committed to staying married to her husband. She was by no means the only writer to feel herself two things at once. Many critics claim the same for Ernest Hemingway. Okay.
Well,
yeah, I don't know. It's the first I've ever heard of it. Virginia Woolf. Yeah, that's not surprising. How much of Du Maurier's sexuality is visible in Rebecca? The narrator repeatedly casts herself as an androgyne, I guess is how you would say that. She offers herself to Maxim as your friend and your companion, a sort of boy. The full heat of her desire is for Rebecca. She speculates about what her body might have looked like. Yeah, well, that's true.
Is this article written by Christina Ricci? Because there's some stuff that's pretty Ricci there. Also, there's a bunch of stuff that makes total sense.
This is written by Olivia Lang.
Oh.
Can you guys hear that? You want to pause for a minute?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the sound of the Google police. The podcast review police saying, "Guys, if I wanted to Google Daphne du Maurier, I could have done it on my own."
That's true. We just had an interesting question come up that was unresearched.
0 stars.
So we're just doing the research right now.
So it sounds like, if I can collate, we don't have any definitive proof of an actual lesbian affair. We have a lot of wish fulfillment on the part of the LGBT community, and we have a lot of things that were weird and messed up about her sexuality.
Yes, from what I had read beforehand, and from what we're doing now actively on the podcast, which I'm sure makes for scintillating listening.
Mm-hmm.
But
here's something that
you get to see the sausage being made.
Ernest Hemingway's mom used to dress him in little girls' clothes and dress his sister in, what's the opposite of little girls' clothes? Little boys' clothes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Only if you accept that there are two genders.
I do.
It's a spectrum, Nathan.
Yeah, spectrum of two.
Yeah. So guess what?
What?
Not so long ago, there was the Big Read, a survey of books, where they apparently got over 750,000 votes to tell everybody what their favorite British books were of all time. Guess where Rebecca landed on this list? They got together. They got 200 books all together.
I'm gonna guess number 1 or number 2.
No, not one of those.
Top 10?
It's not 102. It got close to the top 10.
11?
A little bit less.
12?
Less.
13?
Less.
How's this for scintillating podcasting? 14?
Oh, you skipped right over it, Nathan. Or Jake, it was 14.
14!
Yeah, 14.
Yay.
So that means... You guys, would this make for scintillating podcasting for you guys to try and guess what beat? Or you just want me to guess? You want me to count? You're never going to get.
I want you to go from 20 down to her, and then we'll fill in the rest.
All right. Well, this makes no sense. Oh, this was books that were received to find the nation's best-loved novel of all time, not just British novel. Okay, but their best-loved novels, because you're going to find out when I say number 20 why this made no sense to me.
Boo.
War and Peace.
The great British novel. It really captures the British experience.
War and Peace would make my list of top American novels and top British novels.
Sure, mine too.
Sure.
Just credit Javier Volkonski with
I mean, what
in translation, and then let's go.
This is what people get for caring what the public thinks. I mean, so Harry Potter is outside in 22 through 24. The Hobbit is number 25. So anyway, So we're going to go down now. Captain Corelli's Mandolin is number 19.
Oh, boo.
What?
Little Women is number 18.
Little women walking down the street.
Great Expectations.
Well, I'm glad that didn't place higher, at least.
Is number 17.
But yuck.
The Wind in the Willows is number 16.
Sure,
and right under
beloved books,
yeah, right under Rebecca is The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger.
Okay, so now let's see how many of 1 through 12 me and Jake can guess.
All right, number 13 you're never guessing, so.
Because I don't know that I'm going to be able to guess them in order, but I can at least guess some
Pride and Prejudice
things.
is going to be in there.
Pride and Prejudice is in there.
It is. You want me to tell you what position it is when you tell me, or do you want to guess
top
what
5.
position? It's top 5 for sure.
Number 1?
It is number 2.
Lord of the Rings?
Yes. What do you think it is?
Number 1?
It is
9.
number 1.
Ooh.
Very good. Number 1. So you got number 1 and 2. This is like the Family Feud.
Yeah. This is exciting. Let's see here.
Alice in Wonderland.
No, where is Alice in Wonderland? Alice in Wonderland is way down at number 30.
Yep.
Good.
Followed that rabbit all the way to 30. Middlemarch?
Charlotte's Web.
Yes, Middlemarch is on there, but it is not. It's in the top. It's at number 27.
Okay.
Charlotte's Web.
Charlotte's Web. You gotta be kidding me. Where is Charlotte's Web? Am I gonna have to do a find function? Charlotte's Web is number 170.
Ouch. That's kind of an insult. Anna Karenina obviously is better than War and Peace, so it must be in that top 13.
Number 54.
Oh, no. What is wrong with these people?
Yeah, I don't think this bodes well for our debate. It seems like this is opposite day in the land
Moby
of the
Dick.
sane. Number 161.
The Road, where all the pretty horses.
The Road didn't even make it.
Do we have some Cormac?
No, let's see if there's even any McCarthy on here. No Cormac McCarthy.
Wow.
Didn't crack the top 200.
So is there
Hemingway
more
going to be in that top 10?
Oh yeah, Farewell to Earth.
I can tell you right now that Hemingway does not make the top 10.
Wow. What about
You guys have managed to guess the top 2.
Dickens? Is there more Dickens in the top 10?
Dickens did not make the top 10. Our top. You want me to give you the 13 through 11?
Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
That'll help us.
Birdsong by Sebastian Faulks.
Boo Song by Sebastian Foe.
Okay.
Keep going.
Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. And Catch 22 by Joseph Heller.
Those are all fair choices.
Yeah.
Well, besides Birdsong. All right, so number 10. So we just need to name some more truly beloved novels. Grapes of Wrath.
No. You want me to tell you if it's even on here?
Oh, I know.
Grapes of Wrath is 29.
You know.
Ivanhoe?
Great Gatsby.
Of course.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Good for them.
How impossible is this list to guess, though?
That's number 43. Think of our book today, but think better.
Yeah. Bronte book.
Bronte. Yeah,
Jane Eyre.
Bronte. What's
Jane Eyre. Yeah, number 10.
Is that number 3? No, that's number 10. Okay.
So I gave you that one.
How many more slots of this are filled by books we've done on the Bookening?
Actually, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Huck Finn.
Nope.
This Way Comes.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, Huck Finn didn't even make the list.
Ouch.
It's blacklisted for use of the N-word.
Yeah.
To Kill a Mockingbird made number 6.
Invisible Man?
No.
Same reasons.
The Invisible Man. Dracula. Dracula's probably number 3.
Frankenstein?
Dracula made 104. Frankenstein made 171. Dune by Frank Herbert made 39.
Ah.
Wow. This is the public.
Well, I misled you guys earlier, so I will tell you that Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire made number 5.
Oh, you said they were in a list of... All right.
That's so weird that would be the one to break through.
I know.
Goblet of Fire?
Goblet of Fire.
I realized you guys weren't going to think to guess that, so it was because I had misled you. Sorry. Okay, I'll give you another clue. Controversial Bookening episodes.
Oh, C.S. Lewis. Narnia.
Yeah.
Till We Have Faces?
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe made number 9.
Yep, that makes sense.
Winnie the Pooh.
So how many more?
And Winnie the Pooh made number 7.
How many more slots do we have to guess?
So you're still missing 3 and 4, and you're also still missing number 8.
Is there more than one Jane Austen?
And have we done those on the Bookening as well?
Yeah, 8 we have, and it would have to be a cold day in April before you would ever get number 8.
Wrinkle in Time.
And all the clocks would have to be striking.
Oh, 1984. Yes.
Yeah, 1984. Right. It just leaves 3 and 4. They're both... Number 4 is a comedy, and I think it must be really beloved in Britain. It gives the answer.
But we've not done it?
No, it gives the answer to life at the end.
Oh, Hitchhiker's Guide.
Hitchhiker's Guide. Number 3 is probably... I've never read it, and I don't think we ever will. But he's related to C.S. Lewis, but he wrote, I think, because he didn't like C.S. Lewis.
Oh, of course. What's his face? The fantasist guy, the atheist. His Dark Materials?
Yeah, His Dark Materials.
Yeah.
That's number 3.
Well, the British public have bad teeth and make bad choices.
Yes, you can't taste very well when you have bad teeth.
What do you think
like
the
that.
American public would have done?
Probably not much better.
Number 1, Twilight. Number 2, Rick Riordan. Number 3, Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Top 10 novels voted by Americans. I'm trying to find an equivalent, which is impossible.
Apparently, Terry Pratchett had 15 novels in the top 200.
They just had to remove him to...
14 was Jacqueline Wilson. I don't even know who she is. Oh, she was notable for children's literature.
Okay, wow. Never have I been sadder. Okay, I have the top 10 best loved novels by America right here. You guys want to guess them real quick? This is from a PBS poll.
Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Twilight, 50 Shades. I've got 0?
No, it's not that bad. Harry Potter, yes.
Huck Finn.
Hunger Games.
I lost it for... Wait. Yeah, Harry Potter, yes. Huck Finn, no.
Grapes of Wrath.
Hunger Games, no. Grapes of Wrath, no.
Of Mice and Men.
I'm just going to tell you. Number 1 is To Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay. Of course.
Good.
Here, I'll tell you what the overlap is in terms of things we've already said. So, To Kill a Mockingbird, Harry Potter, Pride and Prejudice, Lord of the Rings. Charlotte's Web makes the top 10 in America, so hooray for the red, white, and blue there. Good on us. There are 3 books that Brandon did not mention that appear in the American top 10. Number 8 is a famous, beloved family book. We've reviewed it on our podcast, but we did not review it.
Little Women. That was on there.
Was that
was on Brandon's list.
Number 6, I don't believe Brandon mentioned, but maybe he did, a very famous novel of the American experience. Not a great novel, kind of trashy, but fun, made into the most successful movie of all time.
Oh, Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind is correct.
Titanic.
And
that was my first thought.
Yeah, Titanic, that great
That's what my brain
novel.
did. But I've been in James Cameron mode for some dumb reason. So come back to that.
It's a fine thing to be. But okay, number 2, you will never guess in a million years, but it is pure trash. It actually, it not just lives down to Jake's view of what the American choices would be. It actually, whatever the opposite of exceeds it, it is worse. It is not quite as bad as 50 Shades, which Jake threw out as a junk answer.
Twilight.
But it is in that realm. Not Twilight. No, it's not Twilight. It's relatively less well known. I don't think I would know it, except for there's a pretty popular TV show, which I have never watched and never will, and neither have you guys, I assume. It's like a historical romance kind of thing. There's a whole series of books. This is number 2. This is the second most popular literary thing after To Kill a Mockingbird in America.
Really? Does it have to do with vampires?
Nope.
It's historical.
It has to do with it's like in the Scottish Moors, I think. It has to do with like a woman who's transported back in time. I mean, you guys would know it if you were ever... Outlander.
Oh, yeah. No.
What?
Yeah, isn't that lame?
Yep.
That's number 2?
Yeah. The list is To Kill a Mockingbird, Outlander, Harry Potter, Pride and Prejudice, Lord of the Rings, Gone with the Wind, Charlotte's Web, Little Women, Chronicles of Narnia, and Jane Eyre. Speaking of Jane Eyre, we would be erring if we didn't give any more information on Daphne du Maurier. Any more context that we need?
Oh, I mean, I guess there's just, speaking of Jane Eyre, there's the Gothic tradition that's behind this novel, but it's really taking a well, I don't want to say pulpy. Whatever. It's kind of taking a pulpy view of it. This is like pop goth.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a whole tradition of Gothic romance, but really that kind of tradition belongs, I think, in a Jane Eyre episode. You can go back and you can listen to what we say there about it, but this has all the vestiges of that, the mysterious house, the mysterious owner, some tragedy that's happened in the past that adds this aura of both mystery and transgression to the story. And so then you have the young heroine that's thrown into it, and it's a dark world, and everything just gets darker as everything unravels, but ends in a sort of peace with what has happened, with the darkness still there. Mm-hmm. So basically, I mean, it basically is just a retelling of Jane Eyre. So.
I have read some I've actually never read Anne Radcliffe, but I have read some Gothic novels. I would say there's two other things that this leans into that are pretty big tropes from the original Gothic novels, which are, number one, just this completely passive heroine who's just there to be put upon and to be kind of a female reader's identification,
Yeah.
But somebody who doesn't have a lot of agency in what happens in the story one way or another, maybe has some at the very end. That's pretty classic. Like, that's the Anne Radcliffe mold. And then the fact that it creeps right up on being supernatural, but in point of fact isn't supernatural. It may as well be supernatural. It feels pretty supernatural, but it's not ultimately, like, the mechanics of how it's resolved aren't supernatural. That's very Gothic novel. Yeah. Some of the later Gothic stuff, like Matthew Lewis with the monk, got into really overt occultism and supernatural stuff, but the classic Gothic novels like The Castle of Otranto or Anne Radcliffe, they always seem like they're going to be supernatural, but then at the end, it turns out that it's like the Scooby-Doo. There's always some bad guy that's making it seem like there's supernatural stuff. Or something pretty similar to what we have here, where, there's a malignant presence that so suffuses everything that it feels supernatural, but there's a non-supernatural explanation for anything that happens. There's my 2 cents.
Well, I mean, I think that's pretty much all I had for context, guys. It's not a whole... I don't think we know enough to dive into the story, and we definitely know enough from her personal history to help us make sense of some of what's going on here and give us some meat to talk about. So,
yep. All right. Well, we will get into some of that chewy meat next time. It'll fall right off the bone of our next episode. Is chewy meat something that sounds good?
No.
So
like beef jerky's kind of chewy.
I was in Texas last week for my aunt who has had cancer for a while, passed away. And so we went down to her funeral. And there's a cat that my grandparents have named Tripod. It only has 3 feet. And found out the story behind why it's called Tripod. Apparently, when it first came to their house, its foot was all chewed up by something. And so they decided to put some medicine on it and then wrap it in this gauze. And then my mom came up to visit my grandparents a couple weeks after this happened. And they were still like, well, we should take, my granddad's like, yeah, we should take that off now. And so she went to unwrap the gauze, and all the skin and everything came off, and there was just this little cat skeleton arm where the gauze had been. And so it hopped around on that for a while until that fell off, and now it's just got 3 legs.
That's such a beautiful story. I'm so glad we could share that with our listeners. 5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. Wow.
You got it back, Brandon. That's like the opposite of saying Queen Elizabeth was born in 1403 or whatever it was that you got wrong that one time.
Yep.
A cat with a little skeleton arm is adorable.
What better way to lead into the Halloween months than with that story?
Yeah, man. For all my attempts to make this into a full-time Halloween story podcast, that is the most Halloween thing that's ever happened.
Yep.
But it was also adorable. It put the aw in gauze. Gauze. Wow. Well, that was a great moment in podcasting. I really enjoyed that a lot.
You're welcome.
And I'll tell you what else I enjoy is calling out our listeners.
But you were going to say calling them all one by one. We should
calling out our listeners makes it sound like I'm going to say our listeners suck. What I meant was, what is the thing that I'm trying to get to here?
You shout them out.
Yeah.
You shout them out.
Shouting out our patrons. Let me just pull them up, the list of patrons. Man, where is it? There we go. All right, guys. I would like you to say where on their body this person should be wrapped in gauze.
Okay.
We've got Robert and Rhonda the Lovebirds.
Their pinky finger.
Nice. We got the Artful Anthony Dodger.
His ring finger.
We got Little Anthony's Cigar Store.
Middle finger.
A little inappropriate there. The Immortal Chelsea E.
Pointer finger.
Jimmy Beam and Little Annie Oakley.
Thumb.
Lily of the Valley.
Left hand thumb. Those were all right hand fingers.
Okay, good to know. Andrew and Esther the Lovebirds.
Left hand thumb. Pointer finger.
The Keith Master.
Left hand middle finger.
Davis Mighty Men Trekking.
Left hand ring finger.
John and Jill and little baby Max.
Left hand thumb.
Jay and Katie, who are cold and love cheese, and also C.S. Lewis, including Till We Have Faces.
Jawbone.
Fairy Princess of Wonder and Happiness, Mother Beth.
Skull.
Just gonna wrap up that skull in gauze. Consul Prime Adam.
Neck.
Nathan Not Me.
Right forearm.
Ryan the Red Avenger and Judith of the Ladies of Justice.
Left forearm.
DJ Sammy G.
Right upper arm.
Benny and Danny to Dana Tiberius.
Left upper arm.
Eric and Catherine from Yon Window Breaks.
Shoulders.
Professor and Lady X.
Rib cage.
Lavender's green, Dylan, lavender's blue. Lavender's green, Dylan. I love you too. I know,
hey guys, we have a new 5-star review.
Hey, awesome.
Really? Sweet.
Yeah, the subject is, Nathan, please stop saying litigate so much. The substance is, enjoy the show. 5 stars. Nate the Great.
Nice.
Thank you, Nate the Great. Now let's litigate how we feel about that review. Do I really say litigate much?
You do say it quite a bit. It's fine.
Do, yes.
It's fun.
Do you guys have an alternate? I'll be like Grand Moff Tarkin here. If there's an alternate, well, I can't remember the line now. I was going to do a Grand Moff Tarkin thing, but I'm not. If someone has an opposite word for litigate, please email it to the Bookening at indiana.gov, and I will read all of those. Thanks, Nate the Great.
Yeah, you're great, Nate.
You are great, Nate. That's awesome. The fair figure maiden, Chloe.
Pelvis.
Anthony, who is cold and hates life, liberty, and the pursuit of cheese.
Right upper leg.
Jiu-Jitsu Jeffrey, the Texas Ranger.
Left upper leg.
Midnight Ninja Ellen.
Right knee.
Return of the Jedediah.
Left knee.
Jay Breck and Ruin.
Right lower leg.
Timothy, the writer at dawn.
Left lower leg.
Eric and Kate, the Camp Champ Kings, who are warm and love bees.
Right foot.
Matty Matt Man.
Left foot.
Sweet Jamie Sunshot.
Left pinky toe.
Tyler, the Keeper of Eternal Darkness, and Laura, the Keeper of Eternal Light.
I don't know the names of the toes.
Cold Steel Cody.
A toe.
Jacqueline, the Librarian Barbarian.
Another toe.
John Bombadillo Bomb Diggity and Captain Tennille, his mate.
Another toe.
Saxophone Alex.
I think that gets us to a big toe.
Secondary Saxophone Alex and Dubstep Danny.
Another big toe.
Ryan, the Terror of Texas, and Eric of the Cream and Crimson, who no longer are stuck in the cold, but please send cheese, why not?
A toe. Ben
Solo and Kyla Ren.
Another toe.
John, the Cosmic King of Chaos.
Another toe.
Matthew, the Mind Flayer.
Another toe.
Annie, are you okay? Get your gun.
A little toe.
Flight of the Valerie.
Those are all the parts of the body. We have no body left.
Thor Ragnarjosh.
Somebody else's toe.
Steven ...
Somebody else's thumb.
the part of your body that you should wrap in gauze is somebody else's. Isn't it fun that I'm sanctimoniously acting like this premise is good and it should be honored? Pigledon.
Somebody else's right knee.
Oh boy, Brandon, really ruining the premise here. Christopher the Flower Hulk.
Somebody else's left knee.
Lady of the Crystal Lake.
Oh man, somebody else's rib cage.
Ian the Deathemirian, Lord of Death.
Somebody else's pelvis.
A man in possession of an Emily is in want of nothing.
Somebody else's mandible. Jaw.
Somebody else's mandible jaw. Emily, Nightshade, the Haunter of Dreams.
I don't think I ever said ear. Ear. Right ear.
All about the Benjamins.
Left
baby.
ear.
The Mysterious Phantom, of course.
Nose.
Nose goes. And I don't think I said them earlier, did I? Did I say Jeremy the Dark Hooded Lord of Death?
No.
You definitely did not say Maya!
Oh man.
She needs a title now.
Body.
Like, yep. Wrap your whole body in gauze, Maya.
Be mummified.
Be mummified. Eat, drink, and be mummified. Mummies are cool. I like mummies. Is that lame?
Don't.
Mummies are the best.
Don't I like mummies?
We had a whole conversation about how mummies are the lamest of all Halloween.
They are, but I have a soft spot for them. I was actually scared of them when I was a kid, so which is more than I can say for much cooler monsters like Dracula's and Frankenstein's. So, I don't know. We can litigate mummies later.
Yep.
When Nate the Great's not listening. Okay, we'll be back with Rebecca, part 2. We will dig into that chewy meat. So bring your meat digging shovels and your chewy chompers, folks. Bring some gauze.
I'll bring the salt and Nathan will bring the pep.
Your meat digging shovel.
Yep. Bring your meat digging shovel. Can that be our t-shirt?
Us just standing there with a meat digging shovel, blood just dripping off it.
Yeah, no, I think there's like a big carcass, like of a buffalo or something that one eats, and then we each are jabbing our meat digging shovels into
a very large spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hurts worse, you twit.
Yep. Oh man, and speaking of twits, some people are still listening to this. No. In fact, I'm going to tell the person who's still listening to this Brandon's bank account number.
There we go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's it.
Brandon's password.
Yep. The bank begged him not to do it, but he did it.
I didn't listen.
Brandon didn't listen. He forges his own path forward. All right, come back with your chewy chompers. Come back with your...
And you can forge his checks.
And you can forge Brandon's checks. Yeah, nicely done, Jake. That was a little pep. Even Mr. Salt can bring a little pep every once in a while. And Mr. Sub brought a lot of sub today. And yeah, go to patreon.com/the Bookening for even more salt, even more pep, and even more sub. You're going to need like 3. You're going to need an industrial sized meat shovel for that Patreon because there's a lot of meat for you to be chewing on.
With your chewy chompers.
Wow.
Okay. Bye, Bookeners.